Coming to you from 8122 Production Studios in the heart of the 607, this is Horror Zone 607. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And remember, you can always join the conversation using hashtag HZ607.
Welcome to Horror Zone 607. I'm your host, Mike C. Back in another undisclosed bunker location, whatever you want to call it, someplace special. I'll announce where I am coming up here soon on the show, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. First, we got the guys working hard in the studio. We got to talk about them first before we do anything, so let's get right to it. In breaking news this week, it was announced that he will be the brand new Batwoman. Everybody say hello to Rich.
That's right. I'm going to be a way better Batwoman as well. I just want to point that out there. It's going to be a great role. We're taking something back. You know what I mean? We're taking it back.
Yeah.
You know,
you're
is
Ruby
the year,
Rich is what you are.
Listen, this is the year 2020. A man can be Batwoman. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If anybody's going to judge it, and, the next thing you know, you're going to judge, and I've gotten judged for this on another podcast, but next thing, Idris Elba will be James Bond. Mark my words.
Yeah.
And there'll be some pissed off people for stupid reasons, but fuck them, because Idris Elba should play everything.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a good week. We got a lot going on. Yeah. So I'm excited for this show. I'm not so excited that I wasted about an hour and a half of my life this week for this show. But that should give you a tease for what's to come in the second part of this show. But yeah,
our review.
Yes. But because that's an hour and a half I'll never get back, ladies and gentlemen.
You haven't seen it before?
No, I've seen it before.
Okay. But that's more than an hour and a half.
Yeah, but you got to remember back. I don't count like previous losses.
Oh, okay.
I only count it when I have to go back and watch it now.
That makes sense.
And at least I did it for the fans. I could have just phoned it in and just watch some reviews or something, or found some synopsis. No, I did it.
Here.
I'm the real deal. I put it out there for you guys, so you'll really appreciate it later on when we get into the
Guy Fieri
5 weeks of Psycho week 4.
Guy Fieri of the horror movie review world. The real deal.
Pretty much the real deal. I just don't have the frosted tips. I don't have the hair for the frosted tips.
Or like the bottom half of not many people know this, but the bottom half of Guy Fieri is it's a Minotaur bottom.
Ah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's
or Centaur or Minotaur.
Either way, he's either.
But when you see him on TV below the waist, Guy Fieri is Centaur.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah,
it makes viewing.
And now that we have that enlightening news that was just broken to us by the other gentleman that's in the room, he's the dumbest man in all of horror podcasting. Welcome back, the Professor.
Well, hello.
I was waiting for you to say the smartest man again, so I could just recycle the line from last week until he opens his mouth.
I've had my degree relinquished. It's my horror movie degree has been taken
to
away.
be fair, we call you the professor, not the doctor.
It's only a master's. It's not a PhD.
It's not a PhD.
I'm a
yeah.
Masters of horror.
Yeah.
I got a master's of horror.
Yeah. There you go.
You're a master of something.
Not a PhD.
He's definitely a master debater.
Oh, yeah.
He really is. He really is.
Anyways, so Mike, where are you this week?
Yeah, we got the big show coming up. A lot of news to talk about. Some cool stuff in the news.
That's the news we want to know. Yeah, I was going to say the news we want to know about is where are you this week?
You were in
So that is the news.
Last week you were at Brisbane, Australia last week.
I have lost.
I almost
left
said
Brisbane.
Burbank.
I got lost. I got lost on the way, and now I am actually in Burbank. I am in Burbank, California this week.
Wow.
Ooh, Burbank.
So good guess.
Back in our hemisphere, not in our hemisphere. I don't know what hemisphere.
I don't know, but he's in Burbank. He's back in the United States though.
Yeah,
he went international. He went to Australia. Now he's back in the U.S.
Just fell back through the other side of the.
It's kind of weird. He went from
Earth's core.
He went from Missouri to Australia to only come back to California.
Yeah.
feel like that's
Don't forget,
a little
I was
out
in
of the
New
way.
Hampshire in between.
Oh, that's right. He went from Missouri to New Hampshire to Australia. That's even further.
Why are you
Yeah.
even tunneling anymore? Like, what is the purpose at this point? Just trying to get away?
You got to keep it fresh nowadays. You got to keep it fresh.
Keep
Can't
it
be
moving.
boring.
It keeps you more safer from catching it, I guess.
It keeps me safer and it keeps me in shape at the same time.
Well,
You
also,
know,
there's
I'm-
not much other
the
you can
gyms are
do.
closed.
You're digging
gyms
this.
are closed. I'm digging it.
You're digging all the way through.
I'm digging it all the way.
It's impressive.
That's it. That's the show for this week, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Yeah. This is really turning into the dumbest conversation that we've ever had. So
No.
I think it's time that we kick off the news. See if we
I
have
was going to say
anything,
that's
better
that's
to
a
talk
that's. I was going to say that's not the dumbest conversation.
No,
ever
we've had
by
dumber-
far.
about. No, that's true. We have had dumber. Usually it's off air, but you never know.
That's true.
I
That's
don't
true.
know.
We'll see what we can do.
We'll have to open up a poll. We'll have to open up a poll on Twitter to our listeners and say, what's the dumbest conversation that we've had, and see what they say. I don't know.
That's going to be a lot of research because there's some pretty bad.
It is. It is.
Deep
There's
dive.
a lot of stupidity that goes on the show. But let's dive into the news this week because we got more Scream news. You know, it seems like every week all of a sudden there's something else coming up from this Scream 5. And at this point, I think it's safe to say we can call it Scream 5 because David Arquette is officially signed on to star in the next Scream movie. He will be playing Dewey Riley.
Dwight.
So it is guaranteed it's going to be taking place in the same universe as the other 4 films.
And all you have
Excellent.
to remember is Mom has said that you have to respect him when he's in that uniform.
Yeah.
That's all you need to
Yeah.
know.
And call
What
me
did Mom tell
Dwight.
ya?
My name's Dwight. I love that. Yeah, Dewey's
Yeah,
a great
exciting
character.
news. I mean, first we got Nev Campbell, in talks. Hopefully.
My question is,
at the
is
very
he
least, if
still
they can't
Chief
get anybody
Dewey?
else back?
Yeah.
What's that?
Is he still Chief Dewey?
Might be
Smiley.
They didn't
retired.
say.
Because the thing about it, in Scream 4, he's the chief.
He might be retired.
He's Chief
by this.
Dewey.
Yeah.
Chief Dwight.
Dwight.
Former chief, or he's commander.
Yes. He had the
Commander
weird sidekick deputy. I wonder if she's coming back.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out this upcoming
Deputy
weeks.
Dewey.
I feel like they're just kind of stretching it along, giving us something to look forward to, some glimmer of hopeness in the dark of late.
Little bits here and there.
I think it's smart. Pretty soon they'll just give us like a line, like a paragraph from the script per week as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Right.
Nobody's
I think
ever
that's
would
fair,
done this
actually.
before. We can just do it in our. They can save a lot of money. We can do it in our minds. We can just cast it. We know what
True.
they look like, and we can just make the movie happen. I might be
I was
onto
joking
something.
off air that by next week we should hear that Skeet Ulrich is going to be returning to play Billy Loomis.
Yeah,
So,
maybe. I told you off air that that's possible because all you have to do is cross the streams.
I'm saying
It's
that's
Scream meets Back to the Future. Doc just shows up. Sydney, we got to go back in time. Got to save your
you go.
kids.
You gotta say,
I didn't have kids back then. Oh no, but this affects them.
yeah. They need their grandma. We need to save your ma.
What you didn't
And your
realize.
kids.
I hope that she is.
What we didn't
I kinda
realize is
have a
that
feeling-
Billy knocked her up on that first go around there in that movie, and then there was a love child. That love child has come back, and that's the killer. And if I am right, they're not trying
So,
anymore.
Wait, because my mind may have just been blown. So you're
Yeah.
saying that first
The
she found out that
PG-13
she had a
stuff?
previously unknown brother, and now you're going to say that she may have a previously unknown child.
Well,
of her
not
own?
unknown child. I think what happened. Hear me out. And this is. I
How
hope.
did
I
she
hope
have
this
a
never
child
happens.
without knowing?
No, well, she had it with no. She knew. So her that night where she gave it up. She gets pregnant. Of course, she's not going to keep the kid of a psycho killer, so she gives it away for adoption without anybody knowing.
That'd be some serious
And then
reckoning.
all of a sudden, this kid comes back for reckoning. Now, mind you, time frame wise, it would work because the kid would now be in his 20s.
Yeah.
If you think about it, 96 to now, the kid would be 24.
Yeah.
So it could work. It's actually logically sound, but
It's a
once again,
terrible idea.
it's a terrible idea. And I don't want to see it. And I don't know why that came in my head other than the fact of the brother thing, because I'm like, well, we heard about the brother she didn't know about. So
Be
how
a
about
lot
the
of-
kid we don't know about? She obviously knows about the kid, but we didn't know about the kid. Maybe she doesn't talk about the kid.
It'd be a lot of goofy dialogue trying to explain that.
And the kid ends up being Officer Dwight.
Hey, you remember that child that you had that you gave up after you had sex with Billy in the first one? Like, how would they even?
They wouldn't even
talk
do
about
that. They do just like 3. You just find out of nowhere for no reason.
Yeah, you
That's
just
all they
have
would
the
just-
villain explain it all at the end.
just
Well, I'm
explain it.
calling
You don't
it
know who
right
I
now.
am, Mom.
Yeah.
There it would be.
I'm going to call it right now. If they do get Neve Campbell back, if she is going to end up actually being in the movie, it's going to be her and her daughter fighting for survival. I guarantee it. She's going to have a
Probably.
child this time. The kid's going to be a teenager. The kid is
but
probably
the
going to be more
timeline
the
wouldn't
focus
work
of the
though.
movie.
That's my problem. The timeline doesn't work because she didn't have a kid in 4, and 4 didn't come out that long ago.
That's 10 years ago. He could be.
That's not.
You know
that's
what?
not a teenager.
I learned. Here's the deal. I learned a long time
Home
ago
Alone,
from the
Scream
Fresh Prince
style.
of Bel-Air that you can have a baby one season and a teenager the next from
Yeah.
the same kid. So it can happen. It can happen.
That is true.
Yeah, that was the time when people didn't really like crucify you for shit like that.
They could set
Like
it a few decades ahead.
how many characters back then would just go upstairs and never come back? That happened on multiple shows. It was like the
Boy
upstairs
Meets
was
World?
upstairs was the abyss. They'd walk upstairs to get something and never return, and you'd be like, oh.
Did we talk about this Boy Meets World where the little sister disappeared
Yeah.
after the first season?
There's that, and then of course there's Family Matters.
Yeah.
Family Matters. The little
Oh,
sister.
Little
there,
Richie.
No, not Little Richie was around. Little Richie stayed on the show. The sister. There was a younger sister
yeah,
for the
yeah.
first season only, and then she walked up. The last we see her, she's going upstairs to go to bed, and she never comes back, and nobody ever speaks of it. Nobody
died
acts
in
like
her
she's.
sleep.
Nobody acts like she died
You
or
know-
anything else happened. She's just
Well,
gone.
He
Yeah, I
turned into a
remember.
porn star, so that's why.
Richie eventually disappeared, I thought.
No, I thought he was on the show the whole time.
No.
He got older.
He was there.
He got older because he was kind of the heartthrob for the young kids towards the end because he's a little cutie patootie, man. He was like 12, 13. He still had those little curls and stuff, man. You gotta love that. Anyways, it was the sister on that show, the little sister.
Anyways.
She made it a season, and she never was seen again. Probably fell into one of Urkel's devices and never to be seen again.
That would be funny.
Started a porn career.
Well, that's what you're hoping for. But yeah, I think that we
Yeah,
might
that
be
did
on
happen.
it. We might
No,
be on
that's
something.
actually the truth.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
That is
we
the
might
truth.
be on
that,
something.
That girl went on to have a porn career.
Well, good
So,
for her.
Yeah.
Did you look that up just
Good
now?
times.
Oh, he spent
No,
a
I've
lot of
known
time.
that for years.
I was gonna say he spent a lot of time researching that one. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
I think it was on E's behind the music or whatever it was called. I don't know, the rise and fall of Family Matters or something like that, where they showed how they all turn into like drug addicts and gang
Behind the
members
laugh
and-
track.
Well, we'll end out the
Yeah.
Scream stuff by saying tune in next week as we'll have more Scream news. I'm sure it will be. It's
Absolutely.
3 weeks in a
For
row.
a while, it was Halloween that we were getting this news, and now it's going to be Scream. So, yeah, more to come with that. Now, this next story is something we had talked about a few weeks back, and I know that the professor was actually very, very excited about this, and I think that it was him that actually spent all the money on this. Movie props from Midsummer recently were auctioned off by A24, and it was the auction was to benefit the COVID-19 Emergency Fund, and the props actually sold. Or they brought in, over $117,000, $117,750 to be exact. And I do believe that all but about $3 or $4 of that was spent by the professor.
Yeah. No, I'm dressed as the May Queen right now.
Yes, and I can also confirm other props are currently in the studio.
Yeah.
This has now become
true.
it looks like a backlot storage area for
The
Midsummer.
light from the lighthouse,
That takes up a lot of space.
yeah. We're kind of squeezed in here. And especially
Yeah.
since I'm wearing the May Queen outfit, it's just outrageous. So I apologize. Rich.
Yeah.
But
It happens. It happens. But
did they?
thanks for supporting.
Weren't there
Professor,
a
thank
few
you.
celebrities also go? Who ended up? Did they say who ended up with that stuff? To be serious,
No, that's what it brought in.
because I know there were two.
No.
There were two famous musicians that were going for the Mayflower or the Mayflower, the May Queen,
The Mayflower,
the Mayflower. The Pilgrims. Anyways,
the original Mayflower.
where am I? Who am I?
Where you at?
Yeah.
Where you going?
So yeah, made a lot of money. So
Good.
it's pretty exciting news for the people over at A24 and for their auction. So
They're good company.
now I know you guys told me off air you didn't see this, but I wanted to mention. So David F. Sandberg, who's kind of become a big Hollywood director as of late. He started off doing some horror movie shorts. The first one that I ever remember seeing, I think it was the first one he did, was Lights Out, which of course turned into a full-length movie, and it was awesome. The short was.
Yeah.
The movie I enjoyed too.
The movie's
but
all
the
right.
short was incredible. But he's done several other ones. A couple of months ago, there was one that he did when the quarantine started. And while in quarantine, he actually did another one. So usually these movies, they're anywhere from about 3 to 6 minutes. They all star his wife, Lotta Lawson. And there was another one that was made that's called Not Alone in Here. And I just wanted to mention it real quickly. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on bloodydisgusting.com. It's incredible, as most of his work has been. And I urge you guys to check it out. It was a lot of fun. It's about 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes long. So it's short, and it's another great job by David F. Sandberg.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw Lights Out, I was staying at the Otis Saga Hotel in Cooperstown, which is known
haunted.
for it's haunted. And I was just scrolling through the internet, and that was on, and I clicked it and scared the crap out of me. And like staying at that hotel after watching that was pretty creepy. But yeah, Lights Out's great. There are a bunch of other ones, kind of like similar setups, like something mysterious is going on, and then like the protagonist comes face to face with whatever it is by the end in some sort of shocking jump scare that actually is his jump scares always have good payoff. Like it's not just like a cat jumping out. It's like an actual ghoul or something crazy,
It's you jumping out.
It's me, because I'm a ghoul.
Yeah, you are a ghoul. Yeah, the first time I ever saw the Lights Out, actually, it was you posted it. You were the one that told me to watch it, and I instantly was a fan of his. And when he started making
movies,
full-length movies, he did, I think, what was it? One of the Annabelle movies, if I'm not mistaken.
The second one
as well. The second one,
the good one.
So he's starting to build a pretty good career in Hollywood.
Shazam,
but,
he directed Shazam.
Yeah, he did. So I think that was his first non-horror venture, if I'm not mistaken.
And there's a lot of fun horror elements in that. And honestly,
that was a fun movie.
Rich and I were talking before we started recording here how Shazam is like one of the better DC movies here.
Absolutely,
I agree.
Absolutely, I enjoyed it a lot.
That was definitely a fun movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, check it out if you get a chance. Like I said, you're not going to waste any more than 6 minutes of your life if you don't like it, but I think you guys will enjoy it. So check it out. Jamie Lee Curtis is back in the news. She's going to be directing a new horror movie for Blumhouse. It's going to be called Mother Nature. And the only detail about the project up to this point is that it's going to be about climate change. So it's going to be right up the professor's alley also.
But, okay.
It's like now I'm lost.
Why?
You're a big proponent of climate. We've had conversations.
I'm a big proponent of climate change.
Climate change, yeah.
I really hope it happens. No.
Yeah.
No, I'm a concerned citizen, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
you were concerned about it. That's all I mean.
It makes sense. It makes sense that like it'd be a good area to get. There's a lot of horror material that you could get into with that kind of thing. I think it's a smart move.
Yeah.
And Jamie Lee Curtis, she's a class act. I'm very excited to see her direct something. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie or The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
Unfortunately, you made me watch that one.
It's great.
Night.
It's great. I just got the Blu-ray, and there's a documentary about the making of. Jamie Lee Curtis worked on that movie for free. In the opening scene, there's a deleted opening scene where it's Buckaroo's parents and how they got killed, and she's in it, and she did it for free because she just thought the script was brilliant and she wanted to be a part of it in any way and support it in any way. And she's just, I've always loved Jamie Lee Curtis. She's great. She's class act.
Yeah.
Class act.
Yeah, I actually watched Terror Train again recently too. So I think last Saturday I watched Terror Train. I hadn't seen it in a couple of years. And
you were just excited. You're excited about the David Copperfield cameo in Terror Train.
Yes. Yeah,
it's out of fucking nowhere, but out of nowhere. Let's think about that. Like David Copperfield is out of nowhere, the magician on this train, out of fucking nowhere.
Kind of like there's a fun cameo in Psycho 4.
Yes, there is a fun cameo, but we'll get to that later.
Connects to what we were talking about a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but if you think about it, David Copperfield really just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
he's just doing magic for these high school kids on a train.
Right. I love in the opening credits, so I laughed. Every time I watch the movie, I laugh because it's like naming all of these people, and then finally at the very end of the credits, at the beginning of the film, it's introducing David Copperfield as the magician.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is about that.
Instead of just calling him David Copperfield, they're just like the magician. Like some genius on the script was like, "Hey, why don't we just say he's David Copperfield?" People know, like he was up and coming a musician at the time. He was starting to like make a name for himself, and he's so it's like, okay, we just David Copperfield's on the fucking thing, and they're like, no, that's too easy. He's got to be more mysterious. We need more from him. People have to think he might be the killer. That's a good point. So what do we want to come up with? Oh, I got it. Perfect name. The Magician. Huh?
The Magician.
Huh? What in early 90s WWF logic was that for a gimmick? I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
They didn't want to get him confused with the Charles Dickens character.
No, they didn't. I always thought it was funny because they kind of have like a part where they're kind of trying to lead you to believe that he may be the killer at some point too. So you think that they would like come up with a better name because from just being called the Magician, he ain't the fucking killer.
Or isn't he?
I'm guaranteed. Well, they give away the killer right at the beginning.
That's the biggest illusion of all that they pulled off with that. He is actually the killer.
If you think about it, the killer in that movie, they're very honest who the killer is pretty much the whole fucking movie. Even though they kind of try to swerve you from time to time, it ends up being who they promise you it is the whole time.
Yeah, which doesn't happen very often in any slasher movies, especially in the 80s.
No, there's usually the Scooby-Doo moment where you find out it's somebody else.
Right. Normally, I don't like that about a slasher movie when they actually like kind of tell you who it is right from the start. But I enjoy that movie a lot.
Yeah, Terror Train's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. There's a lot going on.
I hate when they do that stuff. I hate disco. I hate all of that stuff. Yeah, I love that movie, and there's a lot of all that stuff in there. A lot of disco.
Yeah.
A lot of fun disco moments.
You know what they did is they took one of the best scenes from Trading Places, and they made it a horror movie. That's all they did.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm in. I was in there.
Dan Aykroyd and.
Oh, that would have been great if they could have got. Could you imagine if they would have gotten to cameo? It was the same night.
Yeah,
they go in and he's dressed up as the Santa and the.
At the end.
Dan Aykroyd's in blackface, by the way.
Yeah,
which would never happen now because he's Jamaican.
Right.
And then Eddie Murphy's like a Nigerian prince, which is a whole nother meaning these days.
I was thinking of the moment when he's on the bus as Santa.
Yeah.
He's eating that sandwich.
No, he's eating raw salmon.
Oh, salmon, and he's.
That he stole from the
beard.
Yeah. And he just growls at the kid that looks at him.
It's amazing. That's one of my favorite moments in the movie.
I love I don't know how we went from horror to Trading Places, but it happens.
And it all comes back to Landis.
Comes back to here. Yeah, John Landis. But yeah,
I don't know why we don't do that more often, to be honest.
No, we should. I mean, there's close ties between horror and comedy. We talk about that all the time. I mean, one of our favorite movies on this show is Ready or Not.
Yeah,
because it's a great horror comedy and it's a lot of fun. So.
Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Now available once again on Shudder.
Once again, like I said, they go hand in hand. By the way, I got some news. Did you hear this news? HBO Max. We talk about HBO Max a lot, but I signed up for it so I could get it for $11.99. Mm-hmm. And I found out they have acquired the licensing to all of the Friday the 13th franchise, and the licensing to all of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and the licensing to all the Child's Play franchise. So all of those will be on HBO Max exclusively.
Awesome.
That's speaking of horror.
Why they're not on Shudder anymore. The Friday the 13th movies all left Shudder. After
they had to leave because it's all gone over to HBO Max. HBO Max has all the rights, which is. Smart move by them, man. They're loading up. Of course, we know that you have the Hellraiser series in the works, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Hellraiser movies aren't exclusive on there very soon, if not already. I just didn't see that when I was looking them up because it was just a quick list pretty much.
Yeah.
But those stood out to me as a horror fan. I went, holy shit, they pulled in some big ballers.
They're going to go for a niche.
They're going for it. Big ballers, man. They could cross the streams, though.
Absolutely.
If they pull in Hellraiser, that crosses the streams with Dimension.
Yeah.
Because you have New Line and Dimension are two different, because everything else is New Line. Because Friday the 13th, don't get fooled by the fact that there was the Paramount movies up until 8. They New Line owns all of them now, anyways. And the same thing, they've always owned Freddy. So New Line owns all of that. So it's not surprising that they have those two properties, considering they are owned by the same production company. But if they do own if they do end up owning the rights to the Hellraiser movies, since they're doing the show, that would be a Dimension film, which means they could get the rights to Halloween as well. Yeah. You never know, man. They could be. I'm telling you, HBO Max is going to be.
Moves. They're making moves.
HBO Max is definitely making moves. They got a lot of cool stuff going on there. If you're an anime fan, there's a lot of anime coming on there. They made big deals there. Like it's a contender.
And we won't get into it, but of course the Snyder Cut's going to draw.
It's not opening day.
But it's gonna,
but it's still coming out
it's gonna
early.
pull
What
a
is
big
it?
chunk
What,
of
is it a
people.
week after? I think it's like a week.
2021.
2021.
Oh yeah, you have to wait for it.
Yeah,
That's right.
Because he's going to complete it.
I don't think it's done, is it?
Yeah,
No, it's not done.
they're giving him
They say that
20
the
million.
actors-
They're doing. They got to
The
do
original
pickup
actors
shots.
are like down for coming back to like film more for it, aren't they?
yeah, they're doing pickup shots and
$20 million.
completing special effects. 20 million.
Spend another $20 million on a hot pile of steaming shit.
There it is.
Listen, I've heard his cut. If his cut is as good as some people have said it is, or is alleged to be, then it is going to be a good movie. But
I'm
I mean,
excited.
if it's anything like what we got in the theaters, the Joss Whedon version,
Oh man, that's
that's
rough.
I'm gonna dig my eyes out. That'll be the end of everything. I won't ever have to watch Psycho 4 again. I'll never have to watch.
just
I'll
gonna-
never have to watch Fear.com again. I'll never have to watch Chernobyl Diaries again. I will never have to watch Justice League again. Although if it's great, I'm gonna be all happy for it. I told the professor though, I'm on fence because being great means I'm gonna be really bummed out and pissed off about the fact that they gave us the shit that they gave us originally. So.
yeah.
Once again, we were going
Yeah.
off the rails, but I mean, HBO Max, I thought that was a
They're
good
making
thing. If you're a
moves.
horror fan, those are the heavy hitters of horror pretty much coming to HBO Max at this point. But I still love Shudder because where else can you watch international and smaller budgeted films? Shudder does a very good job with that
Yeah,
as well.
that Blood Machines. That that was pretty cool, and of course, Last Drive-In.
Last Drive-In's worth the price of admission, and so isn't Creepshow because
Yeah,
Creepshow goes there
Creepshow.
first. Creepshow by the time you guys are watching Creepshow season 1 on AMC, Creepshow season 2 will be almost released.
Yeah.
I think there's like a 2-week difference, and then you have the release of Creepshow season 2 for Shudder, and that's worth the price of the package. Anyways, this is cheap. It's cheap, and it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking before we started talking about the DC universe and the Super Friends movie. Whatever.
Friends.
Who cares about that? We were talking about Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Jamie Lee Curtis, not so much speaking of her, but her biggest claim to fame, Halloween. We know that as of this moment, Halloween Kills is still on the agenda for this October. We don't know if it's going to get pushed back or not, but we do know now that there's going to be a novelization of Halloween Kills, and I know the professor's a big fan of the novelization of Halloween 2018.
Yes.
So what do you think of this?
I think that's cool. Is it the same author? Any confirmation who the guy is that's writing it?
There wasn't anything as of the time that the story hit as to who was going to be doing it.
What was it? I haven't read anything from him before, but it was like Joseph Castellini. Hold on, you guys keep talking. But the novelization of the 2018 movie is worth checking out, and especially Mike, I think you would really like it. It just kind of fleshes things out a little bit more. I don't know. I think you should check it out.
So you think I'll like it more than the movie? And you know how much I love the movie.
Yeah, you'll actually enjoy it, I think. John Passarella.
Oh.
John Passarella.
You were so fucking off in the name too.
Joe.
You were like Joe Castellini.
Castellini.
Like you couldn't have been further off from that name.
Yeah.
Joe Cocker.
It was Italian, right?
Yeah.
Slightly, I guess.
I don't know.
So am I.
Yeah, well, so isn't everybody in this room, but still, that's why he just assumed it was
Halloween
an Italian
Kills
guy.
Book.
It would have been
Let's
even
see.
funnier if
Yeah.
it was a Greek guy. At the end of the day,
He might be Greek. I might be way off.
it was John
Too bad it wasn't.
Stephanopoulos, and you're like, oh shit, he's
John
Greek.
Stephanopoulos, written by
John Stamos.
John Stephanopoulos.
Oh, it would have starred.
John
If he
Stamos.
wrote it, then Halloween would have starred John Stamos, the Greek
Jesse
god himself.
Stephanopoulos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got anything else in
Absolutely.
the news, Mike?
They're not saying who's.
I do have more in the news. So you guys, you knew it had to happen. Unless you've been living under a rock, unless you've been living out in the desert like Jared Leto was, you know that we're going through a pandemic. You know everything is kind of shut down. There's a little there's something called a virus going around. You know, maybe you've heard of it. Well, we figured coming out of this thing that there was going to be a plethora of pandemic-themed movies.
Plethora pinatas.
Well, one of the first ones, it's official, it's happening. You knew it had to happen. Not only is there going to be a new pandemic-themed movie coming out called Songbird that's scheduled to begin filming within the next 5 weeks, mind you, but it's going to be produced by Michael Bay. None other than the great Michael Bay. You knew that he would have to get in on
I would
this
not
action.
expect any less from this guy to capitalize off of this.
So with With a slow
The
week
first
for
one.
with a slow week for Friday the 13th, he can join the Sean Cunningham gang.
Yeah.
Fuck Michael Bay.
Yeah. Oh man, what he did to Transformers? Ugh. How do you do that to Transformers?
It's so
Well, he did
bad.
it.
So bad.
He did it, and he's going to be doing a pandemic themed movie, and he's going to be filming it during the lockdown. That's the best part. Michael Bay does not abide by any rules. He
Is this
produces
true?
movies.
Yeah, this is not only is it true, but from he's getting allegedly licensing from the county of Los Angeles, because it's a county technically.
Yeah.
And to film on streets, because most of they're still under like strict don't go out kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
a lot of their streets are empty. He's getting permission to shoot right now, in the next week or so that way he can take advantage of the streets being pretty much abandoned.
He has the clout to do it. I mean, that guy can.
Yeah, but it's like, how shitty of a move is that? How shitty is it if, like, I mean,
Everybody
I don't
else
want
has
to get.
to stay
I was gonna
out of
say I
business?
don't want to get fucking political about this, but let's be honest.
Yeah.
How shitty is it that there's people in Los Angeles County in California right now? They're at a strict stay home. And they're not making a living, and they're only getting by on whatever. Hopefully, they're
this guy
taken
gets
care
to
of.
go out and
and
make
this guy
believe.
gets to like go out and play make believe with some fucking actors, and they can't even go to work or go to the store or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
and some of these people, like, this is what bothers me about this whole situation.
Yeah.
And this is what's bothered me a few other times. Like, there's been commercials that have come out during this.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, so how did you make that commercial?
Well, yeah. The marketers are pure evil, anyways. But
yeah.
the way that how quickly we
Right.
saw these commercials with they were on it. They were like, "How are we going to make money off of this?"
Right, exactly, and it's horror. Like, and one of them is Facebook, by the way.
Yeah,
because that Facebook portal shit. I know you've seen that commercial. By the way, if
not
anybody
familiar.
needs, so there's Facebook offers this thing called Portal, and it's a fucking camera, and it hooks. You can hook it to any, like, you can hook it to your phone, your laptop, your fucking whatever. And anyways, and you on both ends, and you can talk. And I'm like, oh, we already have this. It's called FaceTime.
Yeah.
Like, if you have Apple, and even if you don't have Apple, there's a thing called Skype.
Yeah.
There's a thing called Zoom. You're a little late to the party, Facebook, because all these things are free, and they're not charging you for a piece of equipment.
They want that money.
They're not charging you for a piece of equipment. And they have all these ones about, like, people and connecting to their families and stuff. And it's like, come on, guys.
What are
Like,
you
this is a
doing?
really shitty time to fucking put that shit out there. I can't get behind this. I hate Michael Bay to begin with.
Yeah, I don't
And then,
like
like, this is just a bad
He looks
move.
like a Ken doll.
You're first of all, you're taking advantage of a pandemic. First of all, you're taking. I'm assuming we're going to see the same explosion scene we've seen in every fucking movie since. He's like he's like the big budget version of Troma.
Yeah.
He uses the same destruction of Los Angeles that he's used since Independence Day on every fucking movie,
yeah.
man.
Would you like? He's like the Cecil B. DeMille of like modern.
Pretty much.
like,
but I'd rather watch
spectacle,
Troma films because
yeah.
I love Troma
Yeah,
films.
Troma. God bless Troma.
Yeah, it's a great company. I love it. But anyways, with that being said, I don't get this. This is like, it's a shitty time. First of all, you pick a shitty subject, which we all knew was coming.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. We talked about this on the show. We knew this was coming.
We talked about it a few weeks ago when it first started.
Yeah, we knew this was coming. But so you pick the shitty subject that everybody's going to go to because it's, that's a Michael Bay thing. Go with the obvious, obviously,
Yeah.
Captain Obvious. And then the second one is you decide to do it during the pandemic when everybody's on fucking lockdown in that state.
Yeah.
Like, that state was one of the states that's still not opening up. Like Los Angeles County.
such a douchebag.
Last I heard, Los Angeles County is talking some ridiculous shit. Like they're staying locked down until like July.
Yeah.
Like, that was something that's come out recently because I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan podcasts.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan, of course, is talking about that. Of course, how about his big news? Exclusive to Spotify.
Oh no!
As
I
of the end of
didn't- I
this
didn't
year,
hear
he's
about
getting
that.
paid millions of dollars to be exclusive to Spotify. Just throwing that out there. But
Whoa.
you know what else you can hear on Spotify? We might have some listeners listening right now on Spotify because we're also on Spotify.
Yeah.
We're just not getting paid millions of dollars to be on Spotify. Boo. But I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying, it's just a cunty situation. I'm going to get off of it because I'm going to go down a really bad wormhole.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to get pissed off about the situation, how privileged this individual is, and how they're just like the people in power just let that happen.
Yeah.
It's the same shit that happened in the state of Florida with the whole wrestling and UFC shit. You know what I mean? And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a wrestling fan. I support wrestling, and we have a wrestling podcast here at 8122 Productions, and I'm a part of it. And I'm appreciative that there's stuff on television, but like, if you're gonna just make a law for that, you got to make laws for other things too. It's just stupid. It's stupid. I didn't agree with it then. I still support the product, but I didn't agree with it. But, that's not my choice. I'm not the politician. In this case, I'm not. I just don't support Michael Bay.
Yeah, the main takeaway, Michael Bay's a douchebag, and he looks like an aged Ken doll.
Thank you for putting a punctuation on that. Yeah. Anything else, Mike?
Yeah.
Before I go
We
all
got some series
twitchy-eyed.
news. So just a couple last things about TV series. So first of all, this was just announced today being Saturday, May 23rd, when we're recording this. The FX series, What We Do in the Shadows, has been renewed for a third season after viewership increased for season 2. Oh, yeah. I still need to catch the movie. I still need to catch the series. I know that I'm probably missing out big time.
The movie's great. The movie's great. The series is way better than I would have expected it to be.
It's a lot of fun.
Matt Berry is one of my favorite people.
I just want to say, when we talk about comedy and horror being close together, this is a perfect example.
Yeah. And they added so many cool new elements from what the movie was. Like, they have an energy vampire, and it's this guy that just basically works in these office settings, like where people are working at their cubicles, and he just small talks them and drains their energy off of them, and that's hysterical. That's a fun new element. Then they, of course, bring in the werewolves, and now there's like witches and wizards, and
there's all sorts of great stuff.
And the stuff with Guillermo, the familiar, with Nando is great, and now that Guillermo's like a vampire hunter, at least he's got that blood in him, like he comes from vampire hunters.
He comes from a line of vampire hunters, and meanwhile he
wants to be a good familiar, and he's like got this interesting conflict. It's a great show. I'm so happy that
one of his best friends is a vampire.
Yeah,
and he's a vampire hunter. Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I love the show. I think it's really great. Fun stuff.
She's hysterical. Her and Laszlo are fucking hysterical.
It's a great show, and like I said, this is why comedy and horror go hand in hand. Like that's something.
And it's got its gory, nasty, creepy moments.
Don't get shocked. Don't get fooled by like the fun demeanor of the show, because a lot of it's a lot of fun, but they still have the dark horror element to it too, and it comes out of nowhere. And it really does surprise. That's what surprises you when something hits the fan. You're like, oh wait, woo.
Oh yeah, we are dealing with these evil creatures, and it's produced by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement, the creators of the movie.
That should tell you all you need to know.
And they direct episodes. They write certain episodes. They're very involved in it, and you can tell.
Yeah, definitely check it out. And Mike, you should check it out. You'll enjoy it.
I'm planning on it. I'm definitely planning on it. Now, the last piece of news I have this week, this is one from the bottom of my heart. I just have to express my sympathy, and just I'm devastated by the news. I hate to be the one that has to bring this sad news to our show. We try to keep things upbeat. We try to keep things, fun. But every now and then, somebody might pass away, and we have to be the bearers of the bad news. Well, today is that day that I have to do that. You may remember back, over the last year, the CW was planning on doing a Lost Boys TV series, and they had canceled it and brought in a brand new cast, and they were going to redo the whole thing. Well, I'm sorry to say that that's been scrapped now too.
Oh, man.
Furthermore,
devastating
the
loss.
CW has instead decided to go with a reboot of Kung Fu.
Good choice.
Oh, I have so many jokes that I think Mike C would be so.
It's a good change.
I think Mike C would be. Change. Mike C might be really upset about some of the things I want to say, so I will not say that until the break.
I was like, I had forgotten what he was going to talk about, and like I actually was like, wait, is this what's going on?
I was sitting here like he's building up for something, but condolences to all the friends, family, and fans of the Lost Boys TV series.
Yeah.
R.I.P. before you ever even started. I like date of birth and date of death are same day. Same day.
Dead on arrival.
Yeah. Dead on arrival.
Stillborn.
Didn't even really get a rival. They got a pilot.
Yeah.
And that pilot even got
They
scrapped.
got a pilot.
The original pilot got scrapped. So I mean, wow.
The Tremors pilot.
Devastating news. Devastating
news. We do have some happy news though that I'm going to end with before I give the regular stuff. I just saw it hit today. They have confirmed there is a new. I do believe it's a board game for The Shining. Shining: Escape from the Overlook Hotel game. It is a.
Oh no, it's an escape room game.
It is
It's
an escape
room game.
It's a weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird combination though. Like you
can like set up your own escape room?
Well, no, you don't set up your own escape room. Basically, what you do is you go through this different thing. It says here, let me read what it says because it is check into the immersive real-time activity for adrenaline junkies and mystery solvers alike and experience what it's like to flee for your life. The Shining: Escape from the Overlook Hotel puts one or more players, in the roles of the unhinged writer's wife and son, Wendy and Danny, who must work together and find a way out of the mysterious resort. Driven by the Coded Chronicles mechanic, which requires you to unlock clues and solve puzzles for unique storytelling codes, the game allows you to use psychic abilities like The Shining to get through more than 2 challenging hours of escaping the threat of homicidal Jack and the paranormal hotel itself. Since every Coded Chronicles game is enriched with the thematic details and objectives, escaping captivity makes this edition's difficulty level as hard as dizzying hedge maze minus the time limit. It goes on to say about who created stuff.
Shining themed at home escape room.
Yes, but it's not. But it's on a board.
Yeah.
It's not. You don't set up things around the house. You're trying
could.
to get the. You could if you really want to go an extra mile.
That'd be
But what
fun.
you're doing is you're trying to get the characters out of the Overlook,
Yeah.
and it's a different coded ways. It's kind of interesting.
That'd be
I'm intrigued by it.
interesting
It's coming
for
out
a
the fall.
family to play and like have somebody, the father.
I wonder if the
chase after his family and
My only concern about this game is after you do it once, is there a way that it refreshes itself for you?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you play this game one time, then it's over. You're going to spend X amount of dollars on the game, and then you get one play out of it, and you're like,
I could see this going
that's it.
wrong, and like if people really get into it and set up their own escape rooms and like, well, Dad's really taking this seriously. Like he's really coming after us.
He's going to be like, it's going to be like Nick Cage and Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Hey, just
Oh,
come
what a
out of your
great
room
movie.
because I just want to kill you.
I fucking love
That's
that
a great movie. By the way, if you haven't seen Mom and Dad, you should check out Mom and Dad. It's a really good
Isn't
movie.
that on Shudder?
I do believe so. Selma Hayek and
No, Selma Blair.
Selma Blair. Sorry, yeah. Why did I say Hayek? Selma Blair and
Both are great.
Yes, they're both great. And,
Gorgeous ladies.
Yes, very, very gorgeous ladies. And we'll never forget Selma Blair from her role in Cruel Intentions.
Oh yeah.
Yes. If you're our age, you won't.
Well, Hellboy.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying, Cruel Intentions has the particular scene with one Sarah Michelle Gellar that we all remember. Mike remembers it very vividly as that's what he studies. That's his passion in life.
What do you think I'm watching right now?
I'm surprised you're not watching Halloween 2018 for the 50th time since you claim to
Because I'm
hate it, but
not.
you watch it every week.
He's got multiple screens going.
Currently in the office, me and the professor in the makeshift studio C. By the way, we'll be back in the Dragon Master Game Studio, the 8122 actual 8122 production studio proper. We should be back in that fairly shortly.
Yeah.
Fairly shortly. Things are opening back up in this area, so we get to get back in the studio because we are not a gathering of more than 10 people at any given time, and the store is nice and clean. And they can't have people. They still can't have people in.
Phase 2.
Yeah, phase 2 will be able to be openly in the studio, which will be nice to be out of studio. See, at the studio C is back,
Phase shifting.
but it's different beast. With that though, I do have to say that we, if you want to talk about anything we talked about in the show or anything else, sorry, I was going to say what we were watching in the studio, and I stepped over my own joke because we were actually watching Freddy's Dead. I just had to get it in. Trust me, I would have rather watched Freddy's Dead this week than
You kind of biffed on that.
I know
one.
I did biff on it because I forgot what I was going to say. I'm tired. I had to go to work today, gentlemen. I was up this morning at 4:45. It's a horrible situation. Anyways, with that being said, though, if you would like to comment on anything we talk about or anything at all, or ask, throw a movie out there for us to review, because obviously we're coming to the end of 5 weeks of cycle. We only got 1 week left after this. That one's a doozy.
And then we could just go back to the first one again and do this again.
No, we're gonna do something different for you. Maybe we'll do some one hitters and then maybe another
Yeah,
franchise. But anyways, if you want to throw some out there or anything else, or just to say hi, because trust me, we need that uplifting. And Mike C always needs it because he's on the road. Well, not really the road. He's in
under
the
the-
tunnels.
he's under the road.
He's digging
in the
tunnels
tunnel.
all over the world. He needs to hear some inspiration. Go ahead and do that on Facebook, Horror Zone 607. Like and share that page. Go ahead and do that on Twitter and Instagram at Horror Zone 607 and follow us there. And of course, for all of those, use that hashtag HZ607 when talking about the show. You can visit 8122productions.com. Get all your news. Look at our archive. Check out Three Fat Nerds. Check out the wrestling show. All that we have to offer. Check out our friends of the show like the Ocho Duro Parley Hour, all the musical guests and our sponsors. All that great stuff is right there. And pretty soon there's going to be added stuff. We talked about Twitch. We do have a Twitch channel. You're probably going to hear this late, but if you want to hear it after the fact, we're going to do our first little live Twitch thing for 607 Podcast. Myself and Ken M will be live streaming during AEW's Double or Nothing. It'll be up on Twitch for 14 days after, because I'm going to leave it out there. But it's going to be live reaction. If you want to see our live reactions to it, then you can go ahead. It's probably, this show is going to come out after it was live. So, you know. But it's twitch.tv/607 Podcast. We'll have the link of all the stuff later on, because we're going to do some stuff for Horror Zone with that when we can all get together again.
Yeah.
And then last but certainly not least, if you would like to support the show monetarily, help us pay the bills here at 8122 Productions to keep bringing you all these great podcasts and stuff, and get a ton of extra great bonus content, you can do that on Patreon. Patreon.com/8122 Productions. For as little as $1 a month, you can support the show and get, like I said, there's a ton. We have the 2 exclusive shows, which is Love is Scary with Dr. Derek, and eventually Spooky Mike when he comes back to when he's allowed out of the bunker. And then last but certainly not least, you have I Love Movies with Ron, which is a lot of people's fun. He talks about movies that are crappy. He talks about movies that are crappy that he loves, movies that are great that he hates. He talks about whatever he wants. It's good stuff. And of course, you get all the bonus content from the wrestling show and the Three Fathers podcast, and you get all of our shows, including Horror Zone 607 early. We are thinking about doing an element like we do on the other shows here for Horror Zone 607, just so you guys know. So it'd be kind of extended, so you could hear me and the professor basically talk about the DCEU and shit like that.
You know.
Or whatever else we decide, because we have interesting conversations.
I could go on for hours about the DC.
We have to cut that down even on Patreon. Try to keep it to it. People want to listen, but they don't want to listen.
I'm going to write a paper.
Yeah, you can do that. You can put it up on 8122productions.com.
Yeah,
there you go. Anyways, with that being said, though, that's patreon.com/8122productions. We are going to take our break. When we come back, guess what time it is? It's time for the Horror Zone 607 review segment. It is week 4 of 5 weeks of Psycho. That means it's Psycho 4, and you won't want to miss this doozy.
Oh.
We'll be right back.
Can you imagine a world immune to all forms of cancer?
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for our 4th annual live stream for the cure.
And this year, we need your help more than ever.
Please join us May 27th through May 31st for 48 hours of live content from guests and podcasts around the world.
We'll be aiming for our most ambitious goal to date as we try to raise $10,000 for the Cancer Research Institute.
Please visit www.livestreamforthecure.com for more information on this year's event and how you can be a part of it. Together, we can make a difference.
Welcome back to the Zone, and now it is time for the Horror Zone 607 review segment. And as you know, we've been doing 5 weeks of Psycho. In the past 3 weeks, we've covered Psycho, the original Psycho, Psycho 2, and Psycho 3. So today, it is only right that we keep it in order for the 4th week. Psycho 4, The Beginning.
The only one with a subtitle.
Psycho 4, The Beginning. And you're right, it's the only one with a subtitle. And it's also the only one that was not made for theaters. It's a VOD movie, technically. Some people would say made for TV. I don't say made for TV because it was made for Showtime.
Yeah.
And at the time, Showtime was a paid channel. So I feel like this is the OG VOD movie, in my opinion.
It could very well be.
It wasn't even direct to video. This was direct to Showtime, and then it came on video as well.
Jeez, yeah. Wow.
So let's go over the there is no
specs.
Let's go over the specs, but there is no budget. They don't list a budget. They don't list obviously there's
list a budget.
Well, there's also
made
no
it
box
free.
office. Well, think about it. There's no box office because it never was in the theater. So it was distributed by Universal Television, NBC Universal Television Distribution. Good God. It was originally on the Showtime network. The original release date was November 10th of 1990. It is to be noted that the audio format was stereo and the picture format was color deluxe.
Wow.
I shit you not, this is in here.
It's in Technicolor.
It has the runtime of 96 minutes. This movie was it's 96 minutes. I'll never get back either. It was written by Joseph Stefano, directed by Mick Garris, and we were just going over this. If you don't, when we go through this review, it was no surprise when I looked at Mick Garris's filmography. Mick Garris directed Critters 2. Hold on. I got to give you this. There's a colon. The main course. Critters 2, the main course. Sorry, there's a colon. He was also the director of the legendary adaptation of a Stephen King novel, Sleepwalkers. Oof. Remember the cat people?
Yeah.
But they were actually rats or whatever.
They were immortal.
They were weird.
Yeah.
Also
incest, cat, vampire,
incest, sex.
ancestral, weird stuff.
Yeah. But a lot of his stuff was made for TV.
Yeah.
I.e., and he did a lot of making ofs. We were talking about this. he's like making a monster movie inside The Howling, the making of A Chilling Tale, which is weird because he was also in The Howling.
Yeah.
The making of The Thing, the making of The Goonies. He also directed some episodes of Amazing Stories.
Yeah.
He directed some episodes of Freddy's Nightmares, the Nightmare on Elm Street show. Of course, Psycho 4 came out after that. She-Wolf of London.
Ooh.
He also did The Stand. The made-for-TV movie The Stand, which probably good. He did some episodes of Tales from the Crypt. He also directed New York Undercover, which I was a big fan of. So I was like, okay, he gets a win there. But then in 1997, he did the made-for-television version of The Shining. Not the Kubrick one. No, the shitty one with the guy from Wings.
Yes.
No wonder that I was this movie's amongst other people this movie is starring. I'm not going to list the entire cast, but the stars of this movie, of course, are Anthony Perkins, Henry Thomas, Olivia Hussey,
Elliot.
which she's making her way back for Mike's viewing pleasure,
Yeah.
and CCH Pounder.
That's a great name.
It's the greatest name ever, by the way. I don't even
Just call me Mr. Pounder.
All right. So now I'm going to give you the plot line. I'm actually going to read this right from Wikipedia again because I feel like this is a better synopsis. Because if I went over the synopsis of this film, like through the film, like we try.
Well, should we riff it? Should we riff it?
If I riff it, I'm just going to give away how shitty it is.
Well,
like honestly, I'm just going to tear the movie apart. It's going to take 10 years, and I don't feel like taking 10 years.
I feel like you could summarize this movie in a sentence.
It's bad. Don't watch it.
Well, like
that's giving away my review.
Flash back to the origin of Norman Bates, basically.
Well, yeah, basically. Norman's narrative is, so first of all, I was right last week when I was remembering this movie. He is on a radio talk show. It's hosted by Fran Ambrose, discussing the topic of matricide with her guest, Dr. Richmond. Norman's former psychologist. Norman calls the show using the alias Ed to tell his story. The fact that he uses the alias Ed, even it's like not even whatever. So, anyways,
Ed, who is this?
By the way, before this, we find out once again rehabilitated Norman Bates. Now, how many people has he killed? And he's rehabilitated.
This is the third time he's been rehabilitated.
Is now married to a psychiatrist named Connie, and is expecting a child. Norman secretly fears that the child will inherit his mental illness. So there's the backstory.
Yeah.
Norman's narrative is seen as a series of flashbacks of the 1940s and 1950s, some slightly out of order. When Norman is 6 years old, his father dies, leaving him in care of his mother, Norma. Over the years, Norma, who is implied to suffer from schizophrenia and borderline personality disorder, dominates her son, teaching him that sex is sinful, dressing him in girls' clothes and lipstick as a punishment for getting an erection during potentially incestuous foreplay that Norma initiated in the first place.
Yikes.
She also takes her frustration out on Norman when business at the hotel fails due to the new interstate routing potential customers away from their location. The two live in a contented isolation at the large house as if there is no one else in the world until 1949. She becomes engaged to a brutish man named Chet Rudolph. Driven over the edge with jealousy and Chet's abuse, which Norma encourages, Norman kills both of them by serving them poisoned iced tea. He then steals and preserves his mother's corpse. He develops a split personality in which he becomes his mother to suppress the guilt of murdering her. Whenever this personality takes over, it drives him to dress in his mother's clothes, put on a wig, and talk to himself in her voice as Mother. He murders two local women who try to seduce him during their stay at the newly opened motel. In present day, Dr. Richmond realizes Ed is Norman and tries to convince Ambrose to trace the calls. Richmond's worries are dismissed. Norman fears he will go insane and kill again. He tells Fran that Connie got pregnant against his wishes and that he does not want to create another monster. He then tells Fran he realizes that his mother is dead, but he fears that his mother may repossess him and kill Connie with my own hands, just like the first time. Norman takes his wife to his mother's house and does attempt to kill her, but Connie reminds Norman that it was his own choice to go insane and do the things he did, also expressing that she never murdered anyone, and reassures Norman that their child will not be a monster with her guidance. He realizes the truth is having freedom of choice, and he drops his knife. Connie forgives him finally. Norman impulsively sets fire to the house where all his unhappiness began. As he tries to escape the flames, he hallucinates that he sees his victims, his mother and eventually himself, preserving her corpse. Norman barely flees the burning house alive. He and Connie leave the next day. Norman happily proclaims, "I'm free," indicating that his mother will never again haunt his mind and drive him insane. Then the wooden doors of the house cellar close on the rocking chair that continues to rock, at which point Mother screams, even breaking down crying for Norman to release her before the screen cuts to black and the sound of a baby crying is heard.
Heavy.
So, Professor, I'm not even I've said enough. You had the perfect analogy for this movie, so jump right in.
Yeah, it's basically a worse version of the Bates Motel show. Like I haven't watched Bates Motel. I've heard it's great. But they clearly did an origin story for Norman Bates, and it's not at all. It's sleazy. It's gross. It's weird. It's made for TV. Clearly, it's
made for Showtime.
Showtime.
They were trying to compete with Skinamax.
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
Mike had a great takeaway about that, right, Mike?
Oh yeah.
What's your takeaways from this movie?
So
out with it.
Here's the thing. You guys are going to be surprised by my answer here. So the first thing is I actually I sent you guys in our group chat that we have a screenshot of my television from, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Psycho 3 was on again, and I was working. I just kind of had it on in the background, but I kind of thought about it, and I gave Psycho 3 a 3 out of 10 for my score last week, and I'm actually going to bump it up to a 4 out of 10. I think I was a little bit more harsh than I needed to be with it. I still think it's sleazy. I still don't like it, but I am going to bump that up. So that being said, this is only I think the third time that I've watched Psycho 4 in full from start to finish. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I'm going to say is, I said with Psycho 3 it was unnecessary and it never should have been made. They were just capitalizing on the name. And clearly, I think that's probably what they were trying to do with this. But at the same time, there was no real budget. It was, it wasn't in theaters. So this was something that Showtime was trying to do. Universal Studios in Florida, the other 3 movies and the remake were all filmed at the Universal Studios backlot in Hollywood, California. All in the same. Well, the first 3 movies, although they look like they were filmed in the same spot, they were different places on the backlot, which I don't know what it is about movie filming locations that fascinates me so much, but that one, for whatever reason, it really fascinates me because they actually did film it in the same place, but they moved it around and rebuilt it a couple of times.
Yeah.
For Psycho 4, they actually built a replica in Universal Studios, Florida,
and that's
in
where
Orlando.
they shot this.
And that's where they shot this. I believe it was just opening at the time, and they wanted to, make some sort of a big Hollywood production there because it was a new, it was something new.
Yeah.
So, that being said, I think they did a great job with the way that it looked. For all I would have known, if I hadn't read up on it, I would have thought that they filmed all 4 movies in the exact same location. So I think that they made it look the part.
Yeah.
Anthony Perkins, during the production of this, was diagnosed with HIV.
Oof.
He actually died a couple of years later. By 1992, I believe, he had already passed away from AIDS. So, his role was very much scaled down in this. And, they obviously, like you said, it was something that it was Bates Motel before Bates Motel existed. It was unnecessary for them to do another Psycho movie, but at least they took this one in a new direction. So I give them credit for actually going back to what we hadn't really seen. We just kind of heard about, and that's Norman Bates' childhood and kind of what makes him tick and what made him the way that he was and do the things that he did. You get to see Mother. You get to see what she did. And I think that Olivia Hussey is a great actress. She hasn't done a ton of things that I have seen, but the things that she's been in, I think that she's always pretty good. And I thought that she did a good job as Norma Bates.
Yeah.
And I think that Henry Thomas did a very good job playing a young Norman Bates. He played the role.
Yeah.
Not much different than Anthony Perkins did in the original Psycho. He was a little bit younger version of him. Wasn't as good, but I thought that he did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah.
CCH Pounder is actually somebody that, she's another one. She'll pop up from time to time, and I think that she's a good actress. The one thing I didn't like with this, that I think they should have gone a different direction with it, is the radio talk show. I thought was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I think that it probably would have made more sense if Norman was, if the story was more that Norman was telling this while he was in asylum. Just my opinion.
Instead of being re-released again.
Instead of being re-released again, because that just makes no sense. That because although the Wikipedia talks about how they ignored everything that happened in 2 and 3, but Norman talks about how 3 years or 4 years earlier was his last murder.
Yeah.
That would have been 1986, and that's when Psycho 3 takes place. So they did not renege everything with parts 2 and 3. They just didn't get into the Mrs. Spool storyline.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he was still committing murders, and he was already released. So here he is. He's committed a series of murders in two different time frames in his life, once in 1960 and once in 1986, and he's out a second time. So that part, it makes no sense and it's stupid. It would have made more sense if he was kind of telling this story while he was in an asylum instead of some nice house in suburbia. But overall, I think that the set pieces were there. The writer of this movie was the same writer as the original movie. It was Joseph Stefano. He wrote the screenplay for both the original Psycho and the film. Now, he didn't write the original book, but he wrote the screenplay for both films. So you had somebody from the original crew that was involved in the writing of this thing. The theme music, Bernard Herrmann, they took his original music, which I never realized this either. Bernard Herrmann did a lot of composing, a lot of iconic composing in his time.
Oh yeah,
and not only did he compose the music for Psycho, but he actually did the Twilight Zone theme too, among other things.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. So you had a lot of the stuff from the original movie, and I thought it kind of went back to its roots, and I thought that it was actually a pretty good movie, other than the fact that you had the stupidity of the talk show, and you had the stupidity of him out in public being re-released, but it had a good cast. It had, a good, the stuff that makes Norman tick that we had never really seen before. So at least they went in an original direction, which, 2 went in an original direction of its own. I know that we all agreed that it's a great movie, but, 2 and 3 are kind of, they go hand in hand, I guess, but this at least went down an original road with it. And so a good cast, I thought a pretty decent backstory, a telling of his backstory. I like this movie for the most part. I think that it's leaps and bounds better than part 3, to be honest. So, I know it's going to surprise some people, but I kind of dig this movie. And I thought that the second time I watched it, I thought the same thing. That was years ago.
It's too bad you are not in studio to see the professor's face.
My jaw dropped. My jaw's dropped.
Well, I think we
I'm
finally
surprised too.
I think we might have finally figured it out. He's only a hater of good movies. We finally figured out what Mike C hates. So I mean, after that,
I just think that there's some good stuff here.
I don't think you really need to know Norman. I mean, you get enough from the psychologist at the end of the first movie about what happened when he was a kid.
True. And you know what? I'm the first person that will always say, when it comes to a good horror movie, the more backstory, especially if it's a slasher movie, the more backstory, the less scary it is.
Yeah.
So, you know what? The fact of the matter is they made the movie. They made sequels to the movie. I agree. It was unnecessary. They probably shouldn't have even made the second one, although I love it.
The second one works,
it's one of the best sequels ever made. But, they were all unnecessary. The original movie was perfect. Yeah, why did 25 years later they needed to come back and start making these movies again? 30 years later, but they did make it, and it.
Yeah, I still need to check out the Bates Motel show because, a few friends of mine have said it's really good.
I've seen it,
and Vera Farmiga is
really good.
Norma,
yeah,
I've heard.
By the way, this show is very good, and that show tells this story, but way better. I mean, I guess you get more time because it's a TV show.
Yeah,
but it tells the story way better. That's all it is. It's the backstory. It's when Norman's young, real young, into Kim in his teenage years, uncomfortable, into what it becomes. But I think we've spoken enough on the movie. Before we give our scores, we'll leave Mike to last because obviously he's going to blow everybody's mind. But before we do that, I think Mike's not the only one is alone because there's 2 of these scores are really kind of indicative of what Mike said. 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb. Okay. It is at 82% from Google users.
Oh wow!
I did give it the thumbs down. It didn't change.
No.
And it is 33% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yikes.
So that's kind of where I'm at with this movie.
Audiences love it.
Honestly, well, 33% is not audiences loving shit. And honestly,
the Google users.
The Google users, yeah, I know. Well, here's my problem. This movie was super unnecessary. It was about a lot of story that I didn't care about. It was
Yeah.
one of the sleaziest things I ever watched. Borderlining on a softcore porn on
there's
Skinamax.
some weird shit going on in this.
And it's very. I just didn't like it. It didn't hold my attention. It wasn't there for me.
It's misogynist. Like there's
It's a
some
very misogynistic movie.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, obviously, we're looking at this in 2020 eyes, but I remember not liking it when I was younger. I still don't like this movie.
When I first saw
wasted
it,
96 minutes of my time.
yeah. When I first saw it as a younger person, I don't remember exactly when, but I remember feeling like this is weird. Like I feel uncomfortable, like with some of the the nudity and the way it's just weird.
But for my score, because of the set pieces, I will give Mike that. It is nice that it looked kind of the same, even though they changed sets. It still did look the same. You had the feel. For that, I gave it points. So for that, I give it 2 out of 10.
Oh,
it literally is a 2 out of 10. It is joining a collection of movies that shall never be seen again.
Yeah.
So it's just joining some rarefied air. We probably talk about it on the show eventually, but it's rarefied air.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to give things a chance, and this is it's bad, just bad.
It's pretty rough, and I'm.
So you're up, Professor.
I'm not gonna go as low. Usually, like I'm pretty forgiving. Like if someone makes a movie, there's a lot of work that goes into it, so I at least kind of give half credit to some extent for like you made a movie. It tells a story, it has a beginning, middle, end. There are actors in it who are playing a part that are doing well. Like you do have Olivia Hussey and Little Elliot from E.T. doing a grown-up role, and a more grown-up role, more, clearly not E.T., but it was interesting to see him, and he's gone on to do some. Isn't he in the Haunting of Hill House and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I mean, he's clearly got horror on his mind, and Anthony Perkins. It's good to see him again, but yeah, I'm gonna like it. Just something about this feels dirty. I felt dirty watching it. It's misogynistic. It's gratuitous with the nudity. And like the whole setup of it is kind of lame. I'm more interested in seeing Bates Motel tell the same story but better, so I give this a 5 out of 10, 50%.
All right, Mike, you're up.
So it's an F for me.
It's still an F.
So I think I said pretty much everything I need to say about how I feel about it. So by no means am I saying that I think that this movie is a 10 out of 10. Nothing like that. I didn't find it as unenjoyable, if that's a word. I don't know if that's the right word. Professor, you would know better.
Unenjoyable is a word, yes.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, I don't find it unenjoyable. I actually just watched it this morning before we recorded because I forgot to watch it during the week. And it's kind of fresh in my mind talking about it. But I kind of was like, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to watch it. And once I got going with it, I was like, oh, okay. Now I remember why I actually enjoyed this movie. So I don't know. There was things that I did like about it. Again, I still find it to be completely, it didn't need to be made. It was something that they never should have made any sequels to it, despite how good 2 is. It didn't need to be done. But for what it was, I didn't think it was nearly as bad as most people do, especially Rich. I disagree in that aspect of it. So I give it, again, I bumped up my score from part 3 from a 3 to a 4. I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10.
All right, wow. Mike and I have the same score on something.
Yeah, except our scores mean different things. So
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I just
yours
thought
is
this
like
movie
an
is
F minus, and
also
like middle of the road.
his 5 is pretty much as low as he goes. He just said that in his thing. So like his scale is literally his scale is literally a 1 through 5 instead of
mine
a 1
is a 1
to
through
10.
5.
So like if you were going 1 through 5,
but it's a competently made movie.
This is a 1 on his list because he gave it an F.
It's a competently made movie though. Like
well, that's fine.
It's just not a very good one.
I would argue how competently made it was.
Yeah, I guess.
I just want to point it out. It was a very sleazy film.
Yeah,
like it felt at times like you were watching almost like some kind of like weird Cinemax snuff film kind of combination. Yeah, it was strange.
I thought that I think that 3 is sleazier. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I mean, 3 is bad. Like, listen, 3 is bad. I gave 3 a bad score. 3 is bad. and I will never watch that again either. But it's not as bad as this, and I think because there was a little. At the end of the day, 3 still had the slasher element to it that brings it back a little bit. This is just like. It's just strange, but not strange in a good way. I like strange movies. As we all know, I like unique movies.
Yeah.
This was just like, this is out there. This is like me trying to watch Antrim the other night. I tried to watch that fucking movie and I went, no, we didn't really talk about it last time when I messaged you guys. I tried to watch that movie. I got 10 minutes in. And I was like, I can't do this.
Reapproached it again.
No, I did not. There was the movie was throwing me off because the way it was shot threw me off so bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
You can't have something take place allegedly filmed in 1970 and some of the film looks degraded and some of it looks like crystal clear HD. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't know. So that's what threw me off about this movie, and I'm just like, oh. I also had a long week at work. Maybe if I watched it again, it would get a 3, but I won't watch it again because a 3 isn't worth it. I will give him credit. It was shot well. It was in focus. The movie was in focus.
The camera operators were able to point the camera. And,
operators were A+.
It was focused. I like I said, I gave it the reason it got points. The reason it's a 2 instead of actually far lower is taking anything from it was because I thought the acting was good in it. I had nothing against the actors. I thought that I also thought that the set pieces. I also was with Mike. It was kind of cool that they made it look like the other the other movies.
Yeah, and in
particular the original.
If you've been to Universal Studios Florida, you've seen
you've seen that house. Yeah.
So the fact that it actually looks, I'm impressed by that.
Yeah. So so those things I gave the points to, but because I can't blame the storytelling on the actors. It's not their fault. Yeah. I can't, so that's why I said the acting was fine and that was fine. That's why it gets points. But I thought the storytelling was weak. I really didn't. It's like one of those things we don't need this.
Yeah.
And then once again, I'm also looking at it with 2020 eyes, going, we have Bates Motel, which is the better version of this, the way better version of this. And like I said, I get one's a show and one's not, but the other one's not as sleazy and you still get all the feels. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? And this is just kind of I feel like in 1990 Showtime, which was still kind of a young upstart in comparison to things like HBO and Cinemax, I think that they were trying to get that Cinemax money, because Cinemax was always known as the sleazier of the bunch.
Oh, yeah.
I.e. we call it Skinemax. Mm-hmm. So that was where softcore porn lied in the middle of the night if you were a young man.
Yep.
It was very nice. Very, very nice.
Those were the days,
Those
boys.
were the days, man. Those Emmanuel movies came in handy, okay? But no pun intended. But no, seriously though, this felt like that, man. And I understand that I'm somebody would say, listen, you like Maniac, and Maniac gets a little sleazy. Yeah, but Maniac's not this sleazy.
Yeah, it feels like something like a porn director would make.
Yeah, this is like a John Peters film.
Yeah.
Not shitting on John Peters, but when I go into a John Peters film, I understand what I'm watching.
Yeah.
And this was like a bootleg version of a John Peters movie, so that they had that going for it too. I'm not behind it. I'm glad that Mike enjoyed it, because at least you didn't waste 96 minutes. Unfortunately, I did.
Right.
Everybody has their own opinion, though. So I'm sure out there, all the listeners, some of them will agree with one of us, because we all kind of seem to be in an interesting boat. I mean, me and Rafe really didn't like it.
Who's Rafe?
Yeah, you don't. You're lucky we didn't call you by. You're lucky we didn't call you by your new name.
Wait, what was that?
Yeah, but it was a little
Tinkle
inappropriate. Fist? No, not Tinkle Fist. The other one, your whistle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can't say that on air because we don't want to get in trouble. Anyways, with that being said, if you guys at home want to chime in, and if you've seen the movie, if you've seen it recently, if you want to watch it now, or if you did before knowing we were watching it, chime in with what you gave the movie, what your opinions are. Maybe I missed something. Maybe, I'm always willing to go to bat and see if I missed something, but I just don't think I did. But Mike liked it, so maybe you agree with him. Maybe you agree with me and think it's trash. No matter what, it is what it is. Also, anything else you want to talk to us about? Any movie, because this week we're going to have to come up with a movie for this. No, we know the movie for next week. Last week is the finale. It's the creme de la creme of 5 weeks of Psycho. And that's right. The last movie in the sequels was 4. This is the end. Mm-hmm. But then, unfortunately, in the year 1998, we got a remake.
Gus Van Sant
decided to remake the original. That movie does not star, of course, Anthony Perkins. Instead, it stars Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche, amongst other people. The cast is actually the cast is pretty good cast. It's a pretty stacked cast. Yeah, Flea is also in it. It's a pretty stacked cast if you think about it.
Julianne Moore.
We will be watching next week the 1998 Psycho remake to finish out the 5 weeks of Psycho. Can't wait to talk about that one. And last but sir, so if you guys want to talk about that or get ready to watch that, then after that, of course, you can send us, like I was going to say, to our social medias, any movie you want, because we're going to do, I think, a couple one-hitters before we do another franchise.
Yeah.
It's nice to do one-hitters sometimes. And then, we'll see where we go from there. But you guys feel free. Throw a franchise you want us to do in the near future. Throw a movie, anything. Just throw it out there. We want to hear from you. And also say hi to Mike, because Mike can tell you probably daily where he's digging to. You can do all of that on Facebook, Horror Zone 607. Like and share the page. You can do it on Twitter and Instagram at Horror Zone 607. Remember, use that hashtag HZ607 for all of our social medias. Go to 8122productions.com. Check out our archive. Check out some of the reviews that are on there. Check out the Three Fat Nerds page and the Wrestling Show page. Check out the sponsors and friends of the show. Shout outs to the ODPH. I'll be with Ken M tonight. Remember, we are launching a Twitch that eventually will have some Horror Zone stuff on there as well, because it's under 607 Podcast, which is the little thing that we belong to. So it's twitch.tv/607 Podcast. If you want to see the first thing we're streaming, and don't get your hopes up that it's going to be very polished, because this is really a test and getting it out there. So it's going to be very bare bones, but it's going to be AEW Double or Nothing. We are watching it live reactions to that as it goes on. That is obviously by the time the show airs, that pay-per-view is already taking place, but you can still check out the stream, so you can see what we saw with the live reaction, or if you didn't want to pay for the pay-per-view, check it out. Either way, because we're not showing footage for the pay-per-view. I just want to note that we're no shots of the screen, just commentary. And last but certainly not least, if you would like to help support the show for as little as $1 a month, you can do that on patreon.com/8122productions. It's a good way to support the show and get a ton of extra bonus content. All right, Mike, the business end is taken to the limit.
Taken 2 starring Liam Neeson.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, I would have rather watched Taken 3 than this movie.
Wow. Wow.
I would have rather watched
Where Maggie Grace,
John
who's
Wick
40 years old,
than this
plays
movie.
a teenager.
Yeah, of course. I would have rather watched John Wick on loop than Psycho 4.
You don't like John Wick, huh?
I'm not a fan.
Oh, wow.
I'm not a fan. Anyways, I know a lot of people are, but I'm really not a fan. I just don't get it. But that's just me. See, everybody, different strokes for different folks. But anyways, that is the business end of the deal. Mike C., take the people home.
All right, guys. Thanks for manning the studio while I'm still tunneling through the world. Find out next week where I pop up. Take guesses like Rich just said. Go on social media. Ask me where I'm at. Take guesses where I'm at. You never know where I'm going to pop up next. You will.
Yeah, we should start.
I should start doing that. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I think I'm going to start doing
in
that
the
every
world
week.
is Mike Ciatoli.
You know what? Great fucking minds think alike, because I was singing that in my head at the same time.
So, and maybe I'll end up in San Diego next week. I'm not far from there right now. I am not far at all, because I'm in Burbank right now.
You know what you know what San Diego stands for? Whale's vagina.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, some Anchorman knowledge.
I thought it meant Saint Diego.
Yeah.
No.
But thank you guys for taking care of the studio and for all your hard work with the show.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thank you, listeners, for tuning in and week out. Tune in next week to hear all of the biggest news that we've got from the week ahead, as well as everything that we have to say about the incredible remake of Psycho. I'm sure we're all going to have positive things to say about it next week. I know I can't wait to tell my side of it.
I hate my life.
Until then, yeah.
Until then, I hate my life.
I should just wait till the end for that.
There might be some. There's going to be some laughs. There's going to be some crying. There's going to be some good times over the when we do the show next week. So tune in for that. But until then, everybody stay safe and healthy. And this is Mike C. saying, see ya.